We're there. Yeah, we're there. We are live. We are live.
I heard one, two, and that was it. I never hear no
Yeah,
three.
I had the fast trigger finger today. The
Oh,
finger went
oh
quick.
my God.
Yeah, before I was supposed to press them at three, but I pressed them at one, at two. That's kind of how it is. Like if I go dentist or whatever, I gotta. That's how it has to be. One, two, then they pull them, because otherwise I get too much anxiety. How are you, sir? Good morning.
Oh, I'm
Aloha
good.
Tuesday. Aloha Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm just so happy to be back with all of our family and friends tonight. We
Yeah, man, I missed them. How come we have
eh,
no comments? Are you seeing comments? I'm not seeing any
yep,
comments. That's kind of
we
weird.
got, we got, we got comments already.
Really? Okay, my mind is getting stupid. I don't have comments. Oh well, you're gonna have to moderate the comments because I don't see the comments. Hang on here.
Yeah, we got 64 of them right now. So that's on.
Comments? I get that part. I just don't have. I'm not showing the comments.
Okay, I got two comments so far.
Okay, I see. I just had to restart my phone here. Plus, damn
Yeah,
phone. All right, let's
yep.
try it again. Aloha Tuesday, everybody. Welcome. Oh yeah, we loading up, loading up. Yeah, I missed these guys last night. I missed them. I
Yeah.
missed everybody. Sorry about that. We didn't want to interfere with that virtual town hall meeting that was put on by Councilmember Kelly King on Maui. They had some speakers, and so rather than go ahead and compete and have force people to choose what they want to watch, we just figured we would, share their program and put it on our time slot. And I know a lot of you guys saw. I was so proud to see some of you guys commenting and asking questions. Like, wow, yes, that's our
But
ohana.
people been around for a while, and you know what I'm very very proud of is just everyone who, oh well, they were like us, right? In the beginning, we're like fish out of water. We never know what the hell this thing was. We never know what the hell that thing was going to do. And through time, with enough guests that we had, and we started to dig in a little bit more, and you and I was providing information because that's what we're about, right? Providing information. I'm so proud of the viewers. They pretty much self-educated themselves. I mean, I know many of them are not don't have PhDs. They're not doctors, but hey, they got it to the point where they can keep themselves safe. So they asked many of them asked the right questions last night, and I just want to congratulate them. It was right on.
We definitely have the smartest viewership than any other Facebook Live out there today. I have absolutely no doubt. We
Yeah.
have, we have our viewers are open-minded, independent thinkers, and that's what I love about doing this is because we learn from them
Hmm.
as well, and I just love it, man. I missed it last night, I really did, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of I kind of didn't pay full attention to the show.
Okay, tell me
I
the
was
truth. Well,
watching.
what happened? What happened? Tell me the truth. What happened?
uh,
Because
but
I'm
I did watch. I did. Actually, I was listening. I was actually listening. But
I, I,
yeah,
I think I had the same illness too last night.
I guess for me, Charlie, it's because of the the level of expertise that we've had on this show. I guess
Yeah.
my standards are high. I wanna learn more. I wanna learn more, and but I there was definitely some good information. I think we saw Mr. O'Neill,
Mhm.
Steve on there, and we had him on our show.
Yep.
But it was all right. I'm glad that they do that. I think more elected officials need to be doing these Facebook lives. More of
Oh
the
yes.
elected officials on every island, and I give Council Member Kelly King a lot of credit for putting it together and getting those people on. And I would love to see that here on Kauai. I would love to see our council doing that. I that's one thing that we don't hear from our elected officials throughout the, aside from our mayors, of course, and a legislator every so often when he wants to throw in a crappy bill. But other than that, everyone's pretty quiet. And I would much rather have more involvement, engagement from our elected officials. I think that that's what they should do. I mean, like right now, what I would love to see, and I've talked about this before, but I would love to see the four county councils come together with a joint resolution opposing Psyche's bill.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see the four councils unite and come up with resolutions to the governor to stop trying to relax the requirements of our travelers. We don't see that. And I think that is where the power comes when the counties can unite and go present the governor uh, a joint resolution from four counties. That speaks volumes. And that's what I'm not seeing. And I wish we did. I wish we had that.
Well, let me touch on something that you just said. I have seen our viewers work tirelessly to create suggestions on how we can address the governor. And we likewise have told our viewers what's available out there, writing to your elected officials, right?
Mhm.
And it just, I hate to say it, but it falls on deaf ears. But I am not one that's going to throw in a towel. And it seems like every time we attack this issue, it's the same thing goes. It's kind of like on circular motion. I think comes right back. And I would like to explore any ideas that will take us outside of that, only because we have so much things in the hopper right now. We've got the vaccine, right? Now take the negative side to that is we have high numbers for the state of Hawaii. It doesn't appear, and until you can really get a handle of where those numbers are coming from, right? Until you can get a handle, just remember now, for our viewers out there, all the high numbers we had this week, it doesn't include the prison. So just imagine if the prison numbers was thrown in there, you'd be going through the roof. Guarantee we hit 600. There is no doubt about it. So I think and for the life of me, we've had some good state representatives come on before. We've asked them on again, and for some reason they elected not to come back on. I don't know why. I hope we did not offend them in any way, but I wish more representative and senators would come on. But the sad thing about it is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mel, but it seems like some of them, they're kind of, even at this day and age, they're kind of clueless, yeah, with actually what's going on. They don't seem too over the situation. They're just like, I go with the flow. My thing is making sure I get enough workers in the park. That kind of stuff. Like, whoa, whoa, bruh, we on pandemic right now. How can you add to the mix? So,
Yeah, I think the problem in all of this is you have uh, dueling or battling interests, you know, and it's so evident when you watch, whether you watch the governor or the lieutenant governor's press conference or interviews that are live on Facebook. It's very evident that their concern, their priority is really to open us up. I mean, it's been that way from day one, and this is people say, no, how you know that? Because I know that because it's very simple. If you look at Kauai's daily report, today we had another case, travel related. Yesterday, I believe we had one travel related. The other day we had two, one travel, one community spread. My point is this: how can Kauai be so different than the rest of the islands? How can the lieutenant governor tell us that the numbers are small? We're counting the weekend numbers right now. That's why it's down. Tomorrow and Thursday, it'll bump right back up. In fact, it'll probably be a lot higher. But they don't give us the true numbers, the true information. They're not telling us how many of those cases are travel related. They're not telling us that. As you know, we're Kauai's independent. Kauai's doing it on their own. Department of Health doesn't do that. No other county is doing that. The lieutenant governor spoke at that at his Star Advertiser interview, and he said that all the hospitals are in good shape. We don't have a capacity issue. Well, sorry, Governor, Lieutenant Governor. He said he gets a report every single morning. Well, I don't know what report he got this morning, but I know through my sources that Maui is full. Maui started canceling surgeries because they don't have room to do surgeries. Queens is capacity. So I don't know where he gets his info from. I'm not sure if it's one of his children's books that he reads to his kids at night. But I guess this is what I'm trying to say. Why can't they be honest with us? Why can't they? Well, they cannot, because if in fact they present the true facts, then it goes against their theory. It goes against their theory that Hawaii is safe. We don't have to worry. Get your vaccine, wear your mask. We're all good. We're in good shape. By July 4th, we'll be able to party like there's no tomorrow. That's what he said. Now, we know the numbers are, I posted the from HawaiiCovid19.com. They track all the hospitalizations. I posted the graph today. I don't know if you saw it, Charlie, but did you see that steep climb going up?
Yes, I did. Yes,
and we're doing good. We haven't even seen the New Year's numbers yet. No, I mean, we haven't seen the numbers yet.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing because maybe some good are worse than other goods. I don't know the explanation. All I know is the bugger is like do like Waianae Valley, get two mountain peaks and you're on low spot, and the rest is the bugger high, you know.
Yeah,
And that's the only reason that's the only
I
reason.
just don't understand why we cannot just be real with the people, because you see, the people know. Yeah, maybe not everybody. Maybe some people don't care. I know there's. I know personally. I know friends that just tell me, I don't even follow that. I don't. I just go work. I protect myself, protect my family. I'm not interested in that, and that is so cool. I respect that. But there are many of us that are paying attention, and many of us that have friends and family that work in hospitals. We know the hospitals are filling up quickly. We know that some hospitals are full. So when the lieutenant governor comes out and says, that's the key number, hospitalizations, and right now we're in good shape. No, we're not in good shape, Lieutenant Governor. Why are you trying to portray that picture when it's not true, when it's not accurate? Unless the people talking to me are lying, which I seriously doubt. They have absolutely no reason to lie. So that's the problem. Our safe travels is not safe. That program isn't working. But again, when you ask them, we saw Miskovich was on our show. He said it's working. But when I asked him about how come Kauai's numbers, what makes Kauai so different? Well, because the demographic of the traveler is different. Doc, you got to come up with a better one than that, bro. Doc, you're my friend. Scott, you're my friend. But we know why. We know why Kauai's numbers are different. You know why Kauai's numbers are different, Charlie? Because we count them on Kauai. Because when it's a travel-related case, we tell the people it's a travel-related case.
Yeah.
When it's a community spread case, we tell them it's a community spread case. When it's a visitor that tests positive, they may not have had their result they took their test, they came to Kauai, they still got a quarantine, but while in quarantine, they get the result and it's positive, they tell the people that it's positive. That's the difference, Charlie. That's why it's different.
I wish, I really wish we'd put on the brakes. And I'll tell you the reason why. Not in a bad sense, but in a good sense. Just to answer your question right there. I wish they would put on the brakes, reassess on how they report all these numbers, and just be honest, because, hey, if the numbers is bad, give it to us. And you know what? I think we will handle it much better. It'll put us in a frame of mind like, oh, there's some things we got to do, right? But when you play this hide and seek, you make a lot of us non-believers. And nobody wants to believe what's put out there. So that's why there's always this conspiracy going on, and it just takes up so much time trying to unravel all these knots. We didn't do it. It's they're the one that did it. And all I'm saying to the officials is, hey, tell the numbers like it is, because why? We're all grown adults. Okay, no try, no try hide anything, because
Mm.
I think the people are educated enough to know, what is what, and that goes along to what you're saying there now. That goes along to what you're saying.
Yeah, I always, that's just how we always did business. You tell it like it is, and that the chips fall where they fall, and
Yeah.
then you reassess. That's how you reassess. It's like I said, I really a lot of things for football.
Hmm.
It's like telling your team, let's just say you had a young team, inexperienced team, and it's one thing to motivate them, to get
Hmm.
them to play to a level that is higher than they believe they can reach, because most athletes can. Most athletes, a good coach, that's what coaching is. Yeah, having an athlete perform better than they think they actually can. But it's like having a team and giving them false hopes. It's like UH playing against Alabama, and we just know superior talent, superior speed, superior size. We just know, but it's like the coach telling them that uh, I checked the speed on their fastest guy, and our guy is faster. We're gonna beat Alabama because and just a bunch of crap. The player's not stupid. They know. But what happens is now the player, or in our case, the citizens, lose uh, respect. They lose confidence in our leaders. That's exactly what is happening now,
Hmm.
because they're putting out these false hopes. He talks about the vaccine as if once you get the vaccine, once you get your second shot, you're done. You're free to roam, and you're safe. But we should wear a mask. We should social distance. We just don't know that. We know that the experts are saying, the experts now, the CDC and everyone else, the real experts are saying, we don't know that we believe that you can still carry and pass on the virus. But if you listen to our state, if you listen to the lieutenant governor, he's trying to push the governor to open up on in February, less than a month away. He wants the governor to allow people that had their second shot to come to Hawaii without quarantine. You cannot make this up, Charlie. If you told me this, if you said no, you saw Josh Green's press conference today. No, this is what he said. He said that by February he wants the governor to open up travel to anybody without quarantine as long as they had the second vaccine shot. I would have probably wouldn't. I probably said, Charlie, you sure you heard right? Well, I heard it with my own ears,
If you if
and
you if you were to watch NHK or go on Asian Boss, because they interview Jerome Kim a lot. Okay, you will he Dr. Gupta, that's on syndicated national TV. Many of
mhm,
um, many of the noted epidemiologists, as well as associate professors at all the different Ivy League schools that come on. That's always on. They all come to the conclusion, and they say it very openly, that we just don't have enough information yet. And it's not that they're stupid. It's just that you remember when we were in that department, and when they're in recruit school, remember they always told you that based on your training, sometimes you're going to figure some things out. And yet, sometimes there will be cases where there's just no answer. So don't go making up the answer. You're gonna get caught on the stand. You let the trier of fact decide one way or the other, but don't you go contributing to any mess because you lied on the stand. You'll never be able to testify again. You remember they told us that? Well,
oh
these
yeah,
doctors are saying there is just not enough information that's coming back on how well the virus, whether it prevents you from contracting, it prevents you from getting sick. But it's saying whether you contract it and if you can pass it up. They say there's not that much information, and basically the jury is out. So I'm thinking, why would an official here in Hawaii put his neck and really his medical reputation on the line and say something like that? I mean, not even Dr. Fauci, who he talked to, says that, oh yeah, you become immune. He didn't say that. So, I mean, that is, you know,
Mhm.
I don't like, I don't like sound like I'm bashing him, but man, that's on heavy roll of the dice, because he's basically doubling down when he says something like that. And,
Bingo. Be
and,
rolling
and
the dice. I mean, he's
yeah,
rolling the dice and he's hoping. I know Josh Green, he's not a dummy.
yeah,
He's hoping that everything ends well and falls the way he's predicting. That's a huge risk.
that
Uh,
means if he predicts that way, that means right now, he's the only one in the entire world that gonna have predicted it right.
yes,
He's the only one.
exactly, exactly,
Whew.
exactly. You remember when we had Dr. Jerome Kim on? I was so excited. You know when he broke everything down
Mhm.
so where we could all understand.
Yeah.
And I remember it was just the last time he was on a month or so ago, and he explained to us about the trials. He explained to us what the trials were checking for. He made
Mhm.
it very clear. I actually was surprised, Charlie. I'll be honest with you, man. When he said what he said about they didn't test this to see if it would prevent or make you immune. If they didn't test it to see if it would stop you from spreading they never checked it. They only checked for one thing. And no one had talked about this, Charlie. No one had ever talked about this. I followed this pretty thoroughly, and I had not heard anybody until Jerome Kim came on our show and said that. Now all of a sudden, we hear a lot of people talking about that. In fact, the only thing they know is that it will reduce
That's
the
simple.
impact, the symptoms of COVID on the person that got vaccinated, but they never tested. That was never part of the trials to see if you could still catch the virus or if you could still pass the virus. And when he said that, I was thinking, wow, that so we basically just tested people to see if this was like a medicine, not a vaccine.
That's the reason why. That is the reason why only an EUA was given.
Right. Right.
That's the only reason why.
Yeah. And
The
he made
EU,
it very clear, right? He made it very clear. He was so straight. See, that's the difference between a professional like Jerome Kim, who's a director general of the International Vaccine Institute in South Korea. He spoke the truth. Let the chips fall where they fall. Right? That was what I was so impressed about. He doesn't worry about the politics of this stuff.
mhm.
He said, hey guys, just remember one thing. This is an EUA. You cannot sell this. It hasn't passed the test to show that it's safe enough for them to sell it to pharmacies or do commercial use. He made it very clear. Now that's kind of a scary statement, but it was a true statement. That is what an EUA is. An EUA, so they don't grant those things all the time. This was granted to to control a pandemic. So there's still a lot of tests, a lot of trials. All of you guys that took vaccines, Charlie, you included, you guys are true heroes because you're part of the study. You're part of the study of this vaccine.
Well, I can tell you, I was looking for reactions when I took the vaccine, and so far, nothing wrong.
No,
You was out there. I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. I can
but
just go, oh no, Uncle Charlie, something wrong with him from the vaccine. Oh no. No.
but that is the whole deal. I mean, it's just this is the deal, guys. This I watched the news tonight. It was the national. It was after the local. They get the national news, and they were talking about California. They were talking about the numbers. They were talking about how the hospitals 1,400% increase of hospitalizations in California. How the cases are going to be at over 400, or deaths are going to be over 400,000 very shortly, and yet there's still people saying this is a con, this is a scam. Guys, I'm done with that argument. I'm not even going to deal with it. But my point is this: what are we in Hawaii? Are we going to try to try to catch them up? Is that what we're trying to do? Do we want to rank in that little contest? I don't think so. We have we have an opportunity to become the safest place, but it doesn't. It's like there is absolutely no um, uh, prevention thinking. It's all reactive. There's no proactive thinking. It's all about travel. It's all about getting the tourists back. Like the lieutenant governor said, the vaccine is the key to opening up the world. That's his quote, not mine. And this vaccine is not the key to opening up the world. This vaccine is a huge part of getting people safe and keeping people from dying.
You remember what I said the other day in the post? This vaccine, along with wearing your mask, washing your hands, social distance, and avoid gathering, those are the components that attaches to the vaccine for to stay safe, right? Why I worry that it's like a double-edged sword now. Why I worry about those who take the vaccine. If they're not mentally strong to take the vaccine, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna say, hey, I vaccinated, I got nothing to worry about. So as far as they're concerned, if they get somebody sick, hey, not my problem. That's why I told you, this contact tracing program is designed by default to fail. And I'll tell you the reason why. How many people if they're sick, can pass on information who they came in contact with, knowing that the other person can get real deathly ill? Like be held responsible, right? You don't want to be held responsible for passing on the virus. So why tell the truth? That's one angle to look at it. And that's why I said it's coming down to now, how many people are actually telling the truth, right? How many people are actually telling? That's why we would have been better off just having one app and just downloading the information. So when you pass somebody who's infected, your phone go off. Okay. Now, if you spend the time, you probably can hunt the person down to know that, hey, this is the infected person. If you let me make a big deal out of it, I don't care about that. I just like know if I stay close to an infected person or not, because I like stay safe, right? And that's the problem that I see. You get this vaccine, if you're not mentally strong enough to handle the miracles, if it works, how fortunate you are. If you're not strong enough mentally to handle that, you're gonna be doing all this mumbo jumbo, playing around out there and not worrying about anybody else that you possibly could infect, because you become a walking asymptomatic person. I don't care what.
That's right. And it's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think people got to understand it's not a bad thing, because you won't die.
Yeah.
You won't die, but that doesn't protect the other person who didn't get vaccinated. So come on, guys, we all gotta do this thing. We all gotta do it together. It's some people don't get it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
some people just don't get it, and that's the scary part. This whole contact, Charlie, it was what? Gotta be, I don't know, what are we now? 11 months, who knows? But it was way early on. Remember when we had Miniko? By the way, Miniko responded to me. She's been super busy in South Korea, but she is available after the 18th. So she will be on with us. On Thursday, we'll have Dr. Kapono Chong Hansen. But we'll have Miniko back on after the 18th. But remember, Minnie came and shared with us the app.
Mm-hmm.
The app that South Korea used back in the day, where they did not close anything down. Everything was open. They had everything under control, and they had an app. And you see, in America, the problem with America is that going to get people out there, and I'm sure there's some of this right tonight watching this show that believe that they have a right to their own privacy, and they wouldn't install the app or they wouldn't participate. And as long as we have that freedom, then we cannot make it work. Then we better get the vaccine, and we better start using our mask everywhere you go. California, you know what they're saying now? They're advising people to wear masks even in the house. That's how bad it is. But if we had that app, no one would know. No one would have any information. The only information they would have is your phone number. And once, like Charlie said, once you get you come in contact with someone that was confirmed positive, you would get notified to go get a test. They're not keeping track of your movements. They're not doing any of that. But if we're not willing to sacrifice that portion of our rights, then we're gonna be with this for a long time. We're gonna be willing. I mean, listen, man. Remember when they wanted to do the app where you just what do you call that little black
QR,
square?
the QR
Yeah, the
code.
QR code. You just scan the QR code at a restaurant or a bar. Uh, no, we cannot do that. That's invasion of the privacy.
You know,
This
until such,
virus, this virus is an invasion of your privacy, guys. But we don't have no control.
until
You know?
such time, the governor and his team give in a little for us to be innovative and try something, right? We're not gonna make progress. I don't care what. I don't care what he said. The only reason why we get the vaccine is because this was a national rollout, right?
Mhm.
If it was just for Hawaii and nobody else got it, I bet you the governor said, no, 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 we don't like give them.
Yeah.
And so, I'm just, some people say, gee, Charlie, you mean? I said, hey, if you're dealt the same hand every single time, you kind of know the next time around the cards are shuffled, you're gonna get the same hand if that's how it's being played out, right? So
Yeah.
you don't have to question that. So we've seen the calls that the governor and his administration has made, and I'm not saying it's bad. It's just that I wonder if anybody up there has said like, "Hello, is anybody home?" One of those. I'm just wondering because and I associate it like sometimes like with you football. If your front line is smaller than the defensive line, why do you try keep on running up the middle knowing you will get cream? Try
Yep.
something different. Throw one pass. Try one sweep. Do something, right? Do one razzle dazzle play. But no thing, you're gonna muscle your way through the front line because you'll get blasted. And that's what I don't understand. We continually throwing the same play day in and day out, and then wondering, gee, the numbers still stay high. Then ask yourself, okay? Ask yourself, what is being done to really finding out where these numbers are coming from? We don't hear anything. Now, everything I hear is, oh, HIPAA this, HIPAA that. Okay. I don't care about who is infected. I care where it's located. And I just want to match that up to see if I was in that area too. That's all I care about. I don't care about nothing else because if I was relatively close and if I was more than 15 minutes in that area and I could have possibly been uh, saturated with the virus, then I think common sense gonna tell me you better go get tested, Charlie Iona,
That's
right?
it.
Now, being someone who had open heart surgery, does that put me on a high risk category? Probably. So more so, I gotta go take one test, right?
Yeah.
But when you don't share that kind of information, and then all you're telling us is, oh, we have another outbreak. The only information anybody gets is when it's something of notoriety, like, oh, and it's funny. They always tell us about the prison and the prison clusters. They don't tell us nothing else. And if, sad to say, but if you think of it this way, if you don't break out in a prison, don't you think that's more, you have a better chance of confining it in the prison?
Hmm.
I would think you do. You don't need to play hide and seek and go try to find that where the hell this number. Because the thing is this, as long as humans can walk and traverse anywhere on this earth, that's what makes it hard. Because you don't know where the hell this virus is.
Hmm.
I want to know now if it's always been said, our numbers is due to community spread. Okay. Did we test the crap out of that location where we have these high numbers? Can we suffocate this damn thing? Or we put up the protective net too late that maybe some had already gotten past that net, past that zone. right? Or past the perimeter. We don't know that. I think we should be made known, because if you're going to open up for travel, if we have a hard time dealing with community spread right now, and we get travelers coming from places like California, where they're having a hard time controlling what they have, could it possibly be that they're adding to the numbers? Now, of course, the LG is going to say no, because the numbers through the testing is okay. You're saying that through your testing it shows 1 in 1,000, right? Well, brother, you got guys trying to propose tests that we don't have a test. So how you going to even know that number exists now, right? So how can it be some place that all these travelers are coming from is a hell of a lot higher than us? What makes you think the possibility of non-infected people getting on the planes?
Yeah.
I mean, just look at it. Not to change the subject, we go and riot at the Capitol. We get a whole group of senators get locked away in one special room. And what happened today? Positive, 3 cases, COVID. They talked about it. What's the chances of that spreading that fast? So that's what they're trying to say. 3, because these senators or representatives didn't come in contact with the crowd. They just stayed amongst themselves. They're put in a safety zone. They came in, they got tested positive today.
Well, there is a question. If someone is sick and tested positive on Kauai, don't they have to have a negative test after quarantine before they travel? No, they don't. You see, Hawaii is the only state right now that, as far as I know, that requires a test before you get on the plane. This is domestic travel. The international, at the end of the month, they're going to require a test. But no. So what happens? You test positive, you become the ward of the State Department of Health. They now are in charge of you. They put you into isolation or quarantine, and they will tell you when you can be released. That's it. You don't take a test. There's no more tests.
Yep.
And they have a scale. It's 10 days. If you had symptoms, and that changes so often. I don't want to even say it because I may say it wrong. But the bottom line is this: the Department of Health takes over your care, and when they say you're ready to go, you're ready to go. No test required. 0. So I hope that cleared it up.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Mel, maybe because I don't know the answer, but I'm very curious how the zoo was able to detect gorillas got COVID. I don't know too many humans that go after hours and go walk around with a gorilla.
It's kind of scary. I don't know. They heard the gorilla coughing. They heard the gorilla coughing. So they gave him up. I just like know who had go put that thing down that gorilla's nose. I would quit.
It's
I would
okay.
quit.
Come here, Coco. Take out the thing.
Coco,
Try poke him in the back of Coco's brain and see what Coco gonna do to you. They go, hey Billy Bob, it's your turn. You poking up Coco's nose.
yeah, it's like. First of all, can you imagine the size of a Q-tip you gotta use? It would be like one. Hey, bring the new guy. Bring the new guy.
Yes, sir. What do you need to do?
It was really weird because the
Take
next
this Q-tip and stick him up Coco's nose. You want me to do what?
the next morning they had 2 openings for zoo caretakers. They had 2 job openings. Oh boy.
And just imagine, they put you in a cage, they close the door, they tell the new guy, "No worry, we're right here." Just before he be turned around and everybody gone on him in the gorilla.
Yeah, so I just would quit, bro. This like I don't think that gorilla. I had the test, man. I don't think the gorilla would be too happy. I honestly don't do. No, it would.
You just imagine the gorilla gonna be like this. Mm. Mm. Next thing you know, the gorilla lifts his head. Mm. You guys come out, one big black eye. Hey, Billy Bob, what happened?
Oh God.
You know what? If Billy Bob was smart enough, he go over there. He don't even get in a cage when nobody looking. He take that damn Q-tip, put him up his nose. This is here. I took the test. I'm sorry,
Oh
gang.
boy.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. You know what's remember where it started. Remember where it started from a bat. It started from a bat and it somehow made it into a human. So I would, yeah, I mean, I would expect it, especially from a gorilla who's very, genetically similar to humans. That's just the way it is. And so I'm not surprised. I'm just surprised. Like, okay, so the gorilla is coughing, and somebody's got to say, okay, we gotta give him a COVID test. Like,
No,
no, I mean, so
what
what?
person in their
Like,
right mind? What person in their right mind gonna say, okay, let's give him a COVID test? I mean, so what if one baboon coughs, they go, oh, give him one COVID test, right? When an elephant coughs, give him one COVID test. What person thought of giving him one COVID test?
you know what is so ironic? How many people went to the doctor and said, "Can I get a COVID test?" And they said, "No,
Well,
no, you know,
you go San Diego Zoo, they give you one COVID test no matter what.
yeah. So just go to the zoo."
You go to the
Cough.
zoo and cough like the gorilla. They gonna give you one COVID test.
I never heard a gorilla cough. I wonder if they sound like humans when they cough. I, you know what? That's one thing I'm really not interested in finding out. But I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could Google it.
Like I said, they say, hey Billy Bob, you see the guy says sweating bullets. He says, okay, I'll see you guys later. He walk inside the first protective gate, because get one more gate inside, right? He closed the gate, locked the door. He looked at the gorilla. He said, shit, yes. Pull out the swab. Put it back in a container.
Hey, this is a good one right here. Hanani, Hanani says, "How would you give the COVID test to an elephant?"
You use the most longest Q-tip you can find.
Oh my God. Oh man. No, but you know what they didn't talk about if the caretaker had COVID or if
Yeah.
whoever they didn't that you heard of they had going to be two very popular gorillas.
Yep.
Um, so it would be interesting to see if the caretaker got them and maybe they got them from the caretaker. Who knows? I don't know. The other thing, Charlie, I wanted to talk about, it goes back to kind of what I was talking
Wait,
about a little while ago.
before you go on, let me ask you as a question. The two gorillas, okay. Um, do they know if one was asymptomatic and the other one wasn't? Because one coughed. So I must
One
the
had-
other one, so the other one never coughed. So he was asymptomatic.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Only one was coughing. So, but anyway, as I was talking about earlier about how the state is framing their message about how they're minimizing this whole thing. One of the things the lieutenant governor talked about is, we got the high numbers, but you got to remember we had the clusters at the jail and we had clusters at the was it Harbor Lights,
Maui. Yeah.
Maui. Now
Yeah.
listen. I don't care where the case was. It's still a case. It's a human. I don't care if it's an inmate. I don't care. It doesn't matter. The case is the case, and you count it as such. But the thing that's bothering me, Charlie, and maybe you can touch on this because
Yep.
it's your source, and I've been seeing the posts. Hawaiian Airlines.
Hmm.
Airlines has a problem.
Yeah.
It's a big problem. It's a significant problem. It's a 50, 60, 70% positivity problem.
Hmm.
They're testing 50 people or 56 people and 28 or whatever is testing positive. That's a problem. But not one peep about that cluster from the state. Not one. Not even. There is absolutely not one message, one story, one article, zero. Now, you cannot tell me the media is not aware, because I can tell you right now, all of the media outlets are on my friends list on Facebook. They're on Charlie's. So I have absolutely no doubt that the media is well aware. Uh, but no,
Well,
not one story, not one mention of the cluster at Hawaiian Airlines. And who knows about the other airlines? Who knows about United, Delta, Alaska, Southwest, American? We don't know. We know because we have a source. So all of these employees of Hawaiian Airlines, uh, of course, Avi Manis is on the advisory board for the governor. We all know that. Even though they refused to give me the information, even though I formally requested it using the UIPA request, the governor they suspended the public record law, so they don't have to give it to me right now. But we know that. But nonetheless, the media. What is the media? Hawaii News Now, KITV, KHNL, KGMB, all of these channels. Uh, are they drinking the Kool-Aid too? Why is it that they would not print? That is a story. It's a huge story. Harbor Lights made the story. O Triple C, Halava, Waiava, everywhere.
mhm.
Restaurants, the bus. Why have we not heard, Charlie? And I'm going to ask you your professional opinion. Why have we not heard about the Hawaiian Airlines clusters? That is, as far as I'm concerned, is a pretty bad one. And it's got to be, at least some of
Well,
it is travel related. I think that's the problem, because it's travel related. They
there
don't
are
want to say
so
it.
there are so many angles to this story, and the source. Well, when the source broke that information to me, it was like, okay, there's no names, but yet I saw how many were being tested. 46 out of 46, 28 positive, and they do the breakdown: Hawaii, um, Honolulu, and then mainland base, and then what the negatives were or what the pending were. Well, today out of all days, I get a Vimeo. You've seen Vimeo, right? That people can do video streams on. Vimeo, Vimeo.
Mm-hmm.
So I see one, and I don't know what it's about. So I'm watching it, and lo and behold, it's the COO for Hawaiian Airlines. And whoa! And I'm listening to this individual talk, and the question was posed from, I don't know if it was from another employee. It couldn't be from the general public because I don't think the public has access to it. So it has to be from an employee. Where the numbers are coming from. And his response was that the numbers are coming from employees not following the rules, not um, social, the social distancing, the gathering. Well, if there was only one set of numbers released, I could maybe believe that. But when you have them in a row, in a string, are you telling me that they're just constantly gathering for to hit those kind of numbers? And based on what I saw, he did not expound on. He spoke with an accent. I don't know if he sound like from Australia, the COO. But it sounded as if there is. It just seemed odd because you have. I have multiple, the posts I have multiple screenshots of it, and it's continual. It's continual. It's more than 50% of that group tested, right? But
Mhm.
what I'm concerned about is it doesn't tell you if it's from a ground crew or flight crew or baggage handlers or say mechanics, pilots, stuff like it doesn't tell you. So you can just all you see is numbers. So my question is based on the numbers I have seen for that period of time, and this goes back to um, January 14th. No, no, not January 14th. The ending of December, leading into, I think was December 14th, was before Christmas, something like that. The numbers I've seen, and it leads all the way into January. So if I was just a simple-minded individual, and that's what I did, I tallied up the numbers, right, of the positive cases. That's a lot of employees. They shouldn't have, and if they had to quarantine employees, then we shouldn't have any airline movement with the amount of numbers I saw. It doesn't make sense at all. So that's why I said something's kind of off about that thing. And so that's why when he made the comment, I said, you cannot be saying that everyone violated by getting involved in gatherings because you have these test pods and everyone's showing 50% or more getting infected. It's a high rate.
Very high
So
rate. Very
yes,
high rate.
I don't know. It's disturbing. It's disturbing. Um, and today I did put a post, a ladder post. I said, I didn't want anyone to think, Uncle Charlie, you're just creating more of a problem. No, and I was afraid somebody was going to say that. I don't know if some of them think that way, but I felt that if I just put the information out, there's no names attached to it. But if you understood, at least you can make an educated decision whether number one, right now you want to fly or not, and number two, what precautions you have to take. Because I did see that article on that gentleman that had flown over 200,000 miles, and that's his job. He flies all over the U.S. Right? He has this ritual. He gets into the plane. He disinfects everything where he sits around, what he touches, and he does everything. And he said so far he hasn't tested positive in any way. That's all he does. He carries extra masks. Before he takes his mask off, he disinfects his hands, takes his mask off, disinfects his hands. When he sits down, and even when he puts his laptop to work on, he wipes everything off that comes in contact. And, he does the whole thing. But how many people out there are disciplined enough to do that? That's discipline. But I think if we want to get rid of this virus and we want to get back to some sense of normalcy, we got to be doing that. We got to be so disciplined that we become anal. That's the only way. That's the only way we can return back to a normal life. Because we cannot be kicking the can down the road. Because all you're going to do is kick off from one district to the next. And then I think it'll start to evolve again. It's a looping effect. It'll come right around again. So
Yeah. You know, even if even if I know this is not true, but even if
mhm.
all of the employees got it from not following the rules, the fact that you have a cluster in a company that is, and this isn't just for Hawaii, this is for all the airlines.
Mhm.
If this is going on, the public should know.
Mhm.
That's I guess my whole point. Now we know CDC says don't travel. If, as much as possible, postpone, delay your travel, or cancel your plans. If you must travel, they have some guidelines. If you must travel. So, what does that tell you? That it's not very safe. And it's not just the airplane, it's the baggage claim, it's the ticket counters, it's TSA, all of these people. Now, you tell me, all of these employees, now I feel for the employees that work for these airlines. I feel, and I know we got a few watching, and I know you guys cannot say what you want to say, and I understand, but they got to go to work in that environment. They gotta work in an unsafe environment, and that's just unfortunate, and I feel
Mhm.
for them. But I think the people have a right to know when there is a cluster, and when you figure it out. And the only reason they're not saying it, Charlie, because can you imagine if Hawaii News Now came out and said, um, Hawaiian Airlines or American Airlines, United Airlines have a problem with COVID. And, a recent testing of employees had 52% positives. Well, the Safe Travels program is down the toilet.
Mhm.
We know it doesn't work. We on Kauai know quite well that it doesn't work. And remember, let me make this really, 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 really clear. You know, the travel related cases don't only apply to visitors, it applies to returning residents, it applies to people that went vacation, coming back, whatever. So this is not targeted at tourists. It's the action, it's the activity of flying right now is not safe. The safe travel program, whether you're a tourist or a resident, whatever, is not safe. And they cannot release any information that's going to validate that statement that I just made. Anything that's going to take away uh, the 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 Josh Green success of the safe travel program is not going to be released. So you could talk about the bus. You could name the bus routes. You could name the dates and the times the city bus ran. You talk about HIPAA. If I rode that bus every day, which many people on Oahu do, guess what? You know the driver. You damn well know the driver. So you figure it out. But it's okay. But in other cases, no, we cannot say nothing. Well, this because the bus has no impact on travel related or safe travels. Harbor Lights or whatever has absolutely nothing. It's all of these cases that they come at the jail. No, no more, no more. It's not whether it's travel area or not. Hawaiian Airlines, Aloha, United, American, Southwest, Alaska. I think even an idiot can figure it out. That the reason why airline employees get COVID is because they're in a freaking capsule for 6 hours, very close contact, and you telling me that you're not going to get COVID? You can tell me that there's no infections that occur in a plane or in a TSA line or at the baggage claim? Oh, man. So that's my theory. I could be completely freaking off base, but I believe that is what's happening. They cannot release that. Well, we know, and again, I'm kind of shocked that the media hasn't. We got a lot of investigative reporters out there, whether it's the TV or the newspaper or Civil B, but no one touches it, man. No one touches it. That's because the power behind this is deep, is deep.
Well, it may be deep, but not deep enough for people with common sense to know right from wrong, left from right, up from down. They're gonna know. They're gonna know. Today I did a post, and again, someone had written about my example that I put early on today. And for those of you who didn't see it, all I ask that when you read it, that you consider this. Under the Safe Travels program, anyone coming into the state of Hawaii is required a 72-hour pre-test coming into the state, 72 hours or less. What we never really expounded on the fact, we talked about it, but not in this context, and that is when you take your test 72 hours prior to departure, so if you're coming from LAX and you take a test 72 hours prior to that, your result reflects that at the time you took the test, you were negative. So that means that you have 72 hours until you depart, right? You have 72 hours until you depart. The 71 all the way down to 1 hour before departure. You have to make absolutely sure that you stay sterile all the way until such time you get on a plane. Okay, that's one. But that sterileness is broken once you get to the airport where you're gonna come in contact with people. That sterileness is gonna be broken when you get on a plane, when you're contacted with other people. That's the reason why we said that 72 hours prior, you land and you move out from the time you land 96 hours forward and you take another test. Because given that time, we talk about incubation period. If you did catch the virus, even though you had a negative test, that negative test only proved at the time you took that test, you were negative. But unless you can say that you didn't do nothing else, that you came in contact with anybody else, then that negative test should remain negative. But that's not true. Because once you get to the airport, once you're on that plane, you have broken that safety bubble. We talk about the resort bubble, right? You talk about the bubble when you have families that only you, that bubble is broken. You no longer have a safety cap. You're running the risk. So now you have to determine whether you got the virus, it's incubating, whether it's going to show itself or not, whether it's going to build up enough. So you go 4 to 5 days out, you take another test. If at that point you come out negative, that means that all the period of time from the time you left all the way until the time you landed and 5 days out or 96 hours out, you take another test and you're negative, then you're negative. And we never talked about it that way before. And that's what I posted today. And if you look at it that way, then you'll see why House Representative, Speaker House Representative Psyche's proposal of not having a second test, meaning that if you take a test 72 hours out, you have to hope and pray that when you land in Hawaii, you did not come in contact with any of the virus, because that negative test does not say that you're negative for the entire 72 hours before you departed. All it's saying is at the time you took the test, you're negative, because you could have come in contact with anybody who had the virus, and you could be carrying the virus too. Because what are we trying to do? We're trying to prevent the virus from landing on our shores. That's what we're attempting to do. By taking away that second test, you don't accomplish that at all. That's a false sense of security, and all you do is you're opening up the market to saying, hey, well, we know you guys are having a hard time dealing with the community spread, but here, we got more to add on. We got more to add on to the deck. That's all that's happening.
And you talk about the 71 hour to the time they land, right? There's so much can happen.
Exactly.
You also got to remember from 73 hours and back, right?
Yep.
Because there is an incubation period. So someone that had been exposed to COVID 5 days before departure, before their test, 4 days before their test, may have been exposed, and they take their test 72 hours before they leave, no enough viral load to trigger the positive. They're positive. They have the virus. They don't have enough to pick up on the test. So those guys, without a second test, we're screwed. I guess without a second test in quarantine, we're screwed. Psyche wants to take away all of that, wants to take away the second test, take away the quarantine. You get a negative test. Aloha, welcome. E como mai. That's what he wants to do. He's nuts. And then you got the if you don't have your result, you get on that plane, you can go to that beautiful Kidney Foundation testing site at Honolulu Airport. We'll get a rapid test, which we know the accuracy of those. We'll get a rapid test, and if you test negative, you're free to go. This guy is not thinking. He must have had COVID and he didn't know, and he's suffering from COVID fog, because that proposal makes no sense. And I asked everybody to message their email their representatives. I'm kind of surprised that a lot of them never replied at all. A lot of them didn't respond at all. Not even a sorry, I'm busy, nothing. We did get a few responses. Representative Nakamura responded today to a few of our guests, our viewers that shared with me the response. And she's basically saying that she doesn't really support the piecemeal, the statewide one size fits all. She thinks every county, and that she's going to be working directly with the mayor and the county council, like Senator Kochi said. But that's the kind of efforts that are being done in our state right now. While the whole country is blowing up, we here in Hawaii are looking for ways to make it easier for COVID infected visitors to come in. That's what I'm struggling with. The CDC comes out with a thing, okay, now you're gonna have to get that one test system, which is really not effective. But they're making a statement. I think that the statement is more important than the action. But they're not doing it for our domestic travel. Why? Our country is worse than the international countries, the other countries. Our country is worse. We got more COVID people here. So that rule should be for everybody that's traveling. Yes,
Well,
it's going to possibly cripple the aviation industry. But what? People are dying. People are dying. It's crazy.
let me address one thing you just said, and which is true. 73 hours, right? Remember, you and I had the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Why I elect to stay away from that, even though that's a strong possibility, is because once you bring that argument out, the naysayers will say, "There you go. It's right around before you're taking off. Why are you saying that the guy could be why does it have to be that specific time?" What I'm trying to say is, okay, let's saturate it, and that's why I want the second test going forward. Because even if it wasn't that time, because like you said, if someone goes to the airport and tests, right, the rapid antigen test,
Mm-hmm.
that person can test negative. But what if that person just 30 minutes prior to taking that test, standing in line, coming out of the arrivals gate, right? Because that testing site is outside of the airport, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Come outside the arrivals gate, half an hour, and they're standing to two known, just say they're standing next to, in line, and the line is back up. So you're there for more than 15 minutes. You're in close contact with somebody that's a known carrier. Not at the time, you didn't know they were known, right? But they're a carrier of the virus, and you get exposed. It goes to what you're saying. If you're standing there and you get exposed, you will not develop enough viral load to even pick up 30 minutes later at that testing site at the airport. But you're probably going to show something 96 hours out, right?
Mm-hmm.
While you're on land and you go get tested. But based on what is being proposed, you're not going to be able to force a person to get that test.
Right.
So you just got to roll the dice and hope for the best that they don't spread the aloha the wrong way and getting a ton load of people sick.
Well, the governor could mandate a 14-day quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
He could mandate a 14-day quarantine and give you an opportunity to come out. Remember, you get what you said. You take the first test, you come here, you quarantine for 5 days, which is what we've been talking about for so long. You catch all of those guys. But remember, they don't want to inconvenience or add restrictions to the visitor. That's why it's not happening. That's why it won't happen. But if you want to lock down this virus, if you want to stop the virus, if you want to drop our numbers to zero, you can scold the people all you like. You can blame the people all you like. But when you blame it and scolding the people on the front end and the tourists coming in on the back end infected, you ain't gonna win this fight. I can tell you that. Many have tried, all have failed. That's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. So if this governor wants to win this war, and I don't fight to lose, I fight to win, and if he wants to win this, then you gotta tighten it up. Guys, temporarily. 1 month, 45 days, 14-day quarantine.
You know what?
Delay your travel. Delay your, remember Aloha Later? Remember that Aloha Later? We are in worse shape today with the numbers. Remember? We are in a worse position today based on the numbers, hospitalizations, deaths, cases, than we were when Mufi and the boys came out and told the tourists, come when it's safe. Aloha Later. it's worse now, but all of a sudden, aloha later disappeared. No, come, come. It's worse than we told you guys not to come until we safe. It's not. It's dangerous now, but come. I mean, you see how ridiculous we look as a state. Aloha later came at a time where the numbers, we shut everything down at 30 or 40 cases. Remember, Charlie?
Mhm.
And now we 5 times that, and we're trying to open it up. Aloha later went aloha. All of that was a damn dog and pony show. Paid big money for that. A lot of people made money off of that Aloha later program, the video and all that crap, advertising budgets to tell people wait till it's safe. And now it's not safe, and we all of a sudden aloha later pop, pop, all the bracelets, whatever they was trying to sell, all of that was a bunch of crap. All of that was a dog and pony show, and now we're over here trying to figure out how we can make it easier for tourists to come
This,
in.
this this is what I don't get. And again, we're running out of time, but for our viewers out there, just remember this, and maybe you can bring it out in a discussion that you may have with someone who may thinks on the opposite side. That, oh, we cannot inconvenience our traveler. Nobody has bothered to ask any of the travelers that come in, hey, where else do you travel? Some will say, oh, I travel to Australia, I travel to Mexico, I travel to all those other places. Some will even say I even travel to South Korea. Then you ask them, how is the quarantine run there? And they say, oh, they get 14 days. You're going to know that they're not going to blink an eye to stay in quarantine in those foreign destinations for 14 days. Why? Because that's not part of the United States. They know that they got to play by their rules. The moment they come over here, they say, hey, I know my rights. I know my rights. That's why things don't work. You ask them yourself, you ask them, how did you go down into Australia? How were you able to quarantine, pay all that money, and remain and not grumble one iota of what you did? But you come over here and your lobbying group was able to convince our lieutenant governor that you're going to inconvenience us. But you go to foreign places, nobody's inconvenienced. They said, hey, I'm here. I'll do the 14 days. I love it. When you come away, oh, I don't like do 14 days. Some,
That's why they come here.
so the bottom line
Charlie,
is,
yeah,
yeah,
go ahead, Charlie. Give your closing argument, your closing arguments, bro. You're in court, Charlie. You are in court. You gotta convince the lieutenant governor and the governor right now to step it up, baby.
well, the only way I can make them understand is I would have that gorilla flown from the zoo and have them have a one-on-one talk with the gorilla. Because not only does the gorilla have COVID, but ask the gorilla, would you do 14 days, Mr. Gorilla? That's what I would ask. No. Gang, tonight tonight we miss you all. I know we kind of talked about a lot of things, but we're and there's a lot of new names that came up, and I thank you for joining us for Mel and Charlie live on Facebook Live. But I want to say this much. We have dissected this whole issue on COVID from day one, from March all the way to now. We have brought on numerous guests. We have brought on numerous experts. We have looked at this from all different angles, and we pretty much beat this thing up until now. All of you folks have been well armed with information. Now we're at a point that all it would take is a little tweaking of certain rules to keep Hawaii safe. If you have the muster enough to contact your representative and just talk story, ask them, why does it take so much just to turn the hands of time just a little forward one way or the other? Because that's all we're talking about. We're not talking about breaking the bank here, gang. We're talking about your safety as well as our safety. And if it means taking a second test, then that's the route I think we should be taking. Is that too much to ask for? You really should be asking yourself that. So like I said, we have dissected this whole issue. We try to stay around the issue as much as possible. But now more than ever, I'm looking at certain things, what's making certain things go the way they are. And it all points down to one thing, it's the money. Yeah. So the thing is this, everybody can use money, but I sure as hell wouldn't want to gain a few extra dollars if it means I'm going to endanger someone else because of this virus. So that's when you really got to reevaluate, you know, how much aloha you get in yourself that we all can make it through. How much aloha? Because I don't want to stick around and see that we're going to have to go to this point of herd immunity, which means that we're going to have a lot of people going to have to die even to get to herd immunity. I don't want to go that route. We get people calling us up right now, not enough spaces in the hospital. I can only imagine if this was happening when I needed a bed at Queens, when I had been medevac from Kauai, probably, ladies and gentlemen, Uncle Charlie would not be here today talking to all of you out there. That's how much I know. Okay. I don't think anybody else should go through that. So how do we prevent that? We try to keep everybody safe. We try to keep everybody outside the hospital. But we can't do that if our government officials like to play Russian roulette with us. Because I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna lose. We are gonna lose. And that's not right. That's not right. Okay, Mel?
All right, Charlie, thank you, man. You won that argument. That closing argument, you win. Yeah, it's the solutions. By now, we should have it done. I mean, one thing good about life is you get plenty of examples to copy from. You find programs that work in any part of what you do, your jobs, your life at home. You find something that works and you copy. That's what you do. We have an opportunity here to have the visitors uh, take a test, get them in a quarantine hospital. I mean, a quarantine hotel. If they get sick, they go to another quarantine hotel, unless they get really sick. My point is this: we have not done. When I say we, our government hasn't done everything that they need to keep us safe, us as residents, us as the locals here in Hawaii. They haven't. They are more focused on raising money. And that's a tough nut to crack because we're going to have to. But the longer we prolong this, yeah, you either pay now or you pay later. The way we're going to pay later. The track that we're on, we're going to pay later. So everybody else shuts down until they get this under control. And we don't. We keep it, we're trying to increase viral load in the state. And that's a dangerous road to take. And I don't understand. Well, I think I understand, but I understand what they're thinking, but I cannot understand how they can sleep at night knowing that every single day we prolong the inevitable, which is locking out this virus, more people can get sick and more people can die. I don't know how they sleep, but that's their deal. I sleep good at night because we tell the truth here and we try to inform and educate. So anyway, guys, like Charlie said, we missed you guys last night. We'll be back again tomorrow night. I don't know who we get tomorrow night, but Thursday, Dr. Kapono Chong Hansen. He's
We're trying very hard. We're trying very hard. Mel had asked, and we're just hoping and praying we can get the head of HTA on with us. Hear from him because it's always good to hear both sides of the coin, right? It doesn't have to be all bad or nasty. Just let them say what they have to say because I want to hear. I did read an article that was posted by Mr. John DeFries. It was a pretty darn good article, and because they asked, nearly 65% of the residents of Hawaii oppose the tourism because the way the first half prior to this pandemic, how tourism was being handled in Hawaii, it was a mess. And that everything should be regulated a little tighter so that we can both coexist. We don't have to be second to the tourists. We should be on the same level. And I thought that was pretty neat. I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, we're trying to get him on. We're trying all our connections. If any of you know him and can ask him to come on, we've tried every way we know how. We just haven't gotten a response yet. So we'll keep trying.
Yeah.
We'll keep trying. But anyway, until we meet again and you guys go home and discuss, go work tomorrow, you discuss this. Listen, wear your mask, wash your hands, social distance, stay away from gatherings. And God, please, if you don't have to travel, don't travel. If you got to go to Honolulu to go to the doctor, obviously you need to go. But stop traveling for non-essential reasons. Just don't
And
do
you
it.
know, and if you want that, wearing a mask is so important because not only does it protect you, it protects others, right? Keep the mask on. And if you one of those that you just have a hard time and you pass gas so much, just wear an extra set deputies when you go work. Okay, just be safe.
All right, with that, guys, we love you guys. God bless. We'll see you guys tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Hang
Aloha.
on, I gotta find out. Aloha.